Hi there, my name is Mark and this is my Daddy Diary episode 2. So this week has been a fun week. Sophie is now today 2 weeks old and we've had a great fun week. I think the biggest thing this week has been trying to get into our routine. Now I say routine and us getting into a routine, it's more her dictating the routine. She certainly doesn't want to stick to how maybe we would want to do it. She's very much dictating how we go about this. It's fairly regular though. She sleeps roughly around 3 to 4 hours at a time and she wakes up and she will cry for milk. We have dubbed her the milk monster because she loves her milk. She loves to guzzle, which I'll kind of cover a little bit further in the video. Change, wind. I mentioned in the previous video, it's fairly regular, and for the most part this week that has continued. She's usually the first sort of, if I go from sort of midnight onwards, so she'll usually wake up around 2 or 3 AM and she'll want feed and a change, and then she'll sleep through till about 6, and then you repeat, and then 10, then maybe around 1, she seems to go a bit earlier. The interesting one with the routine is that we get to sort of 5 PM and for some reason between sort of 5 and 10 at night, she likes night times. She doesn't want to sleep. So you'll feed her, you wind her, you change her, you go through that whole list of things that you need to do, and she just doesn't seem to want to go back to sleep until sort of 10, 11 o'clock at night, which is very unusual. I think that's basically her waking hours at the moment. Which is fine because it means she's awake during the day. She wants to be awake during the day, so to speak. And we're hoping as she gets older, that'll slightly shift maybe a little bit earlier, because I think a bedtime before 10 o'clock would be ideal. But at the moment, she's a baby, she's dictating that way. Generally speaking, it's going really well. And I'm going to cover a little bit more about her routine, say, further in the video. Also this week, Dada Mark. So at the moment we're sort of going with the names. I'm Daddy and the other Mark, because there is 2 Marks in case you don't already know. Go back and maybe watch the intro video. There is 2 Marks. I'm Daddy and Mark is currently going to be Dad, although I don't know, it feels funny when you're talking to her, so I keep saying Dada because it feels more baby and cutesy and lovely. So yeah, Dada Mark had his first, not his first, but another big Poonami experience this week. Right up the back. I seem to have dodged a couple of those. I've done one, but I've got away with it. Mark went to change her, he was like, it was everywhere. I've had to change all her clothes, obviously. Yeah, apparently it was not a pleasant one. She's still doing the whole, I don't really want to wee when I've already pooed, or I don't want to poo in a wet nappy that's wet, so she'll wait until you change her nappy and then she'll go. Like literally you'll walk out of the nursery and go, you just went again, didn't you? Come back in, and she's literally finished. Which is fine, you know, we do call her a little princess, our little princess, and so she's, let's say, she is definitely wrapping us around her little finger. At this point, because we are doing everything for her, which is fine. That's what the beauty of having children. But yeah, so he had a big Poonami experience, and I said that I would mention that because I thought it was funny. I'm going to pay for that though, because you can guarantee later today she is going to, yeah, let's not get graphic because that could be gross. Also this week her navel clip fell off, which was kind of a relief actually, because I was constantly worried about knocking it and it hurting her. I'm pretty sure, I'm sure I remember the midwife saying that they can't really feel it, but you're still nervous, and obviously there is occasional bits of bleeding and stuff that comes from that as the rest of the umbilical cord actually dies away and eventually it just falls off. But yeah, so that came off, and it's looking really great. She's healing up really nicely on that, which we're really, really pleased about. One thing I did want to mention this week, because we went to a friend's, we went to very good friends earlier in the week. We went out and we took them to the park. Like, they've got a little boy who's 2, who's absolutely incredible. We went out, and so generally when we're going out somewhere, we've bought the like ready-made milk or formula, whatever. For those who are wondering, we are actually using Hip Organic formula, and so we've got the equivalent, but the ready-made stuff. And we've found that there's been 2 or 3 occasions now where we've used this, where we've either gone into town or gone to friends. But when we went round to our friend's house, my word, literally she probably had a whole bottle, like, of her usual 4 ounces, and brought the lot up all over me. So see, I take the mickey out of Mark for the Poonami, but I did get covered in baby milk. It went everywhere. It seems to happen, or she seems to bring it back up a lot more frequently when it's the ready-made. So I'm just curious if to anyone else who's watching has that experience. Has anyone else used Hip Organic and has noticed a difference between what we make at home with the machine prep and what they get in the bottle? Or if there's an alternative to the ready-made stuff. Obviously we try not to, well, we don't use milk after 2 hours, because you shouldn't. So yeah, I'm just curious more than anything as to if anyone else has had that experience. My only thought could be that obviously when we make it in the machine it's fresher, and that pre-made bottle isn't quite as fresh, or might have something different in it to prolong its life that maybe she doesn't like as much. Just curious if anyone else has had that experience. We also had our final visit from the midwife, which was quite a surprise. The midwife came obviously the day after we got home at 5 days and then at 10 days. And she checked her over, she weighed her, she's now at 8.9 £. So for those of you that do know, she was 8.7 when she was born. She only actually lost 10 grams in that first period where they say they can lose up to 5 or up to 10% of their body weight. She only lost 10 grams and now she's up to 8.9, so that's all good. The midwife was very, very happy, and we have been discharged from the midwives now. We don't need to see them anymore. And then the following day we had our first visit from a health visitor. Unfortunately, apparently we'd forgotten about or fell through the cracks or something, and so we hadn't had a health visitor yet, but she came round and she did all the checks, gave us all her forms about immunisations and all the stuff like that. She also checked her weight, which again was fine. She also checked her height and her head size, and everything is on track for a baby her age. So we were really, really happy with that. The only thing I will say, and obviously it's not the midwife's fault, it's not the health visitor's fault. On both days, so with the midwife, I was literally I just finished a feed and a change, and I just getting her off to sleep when the midwife turned up. Because as I say, we can't change her routine. She is very much, no, this is when I want to sleep and this is when I want to eat. Do it. So we can't really change it yet. And the midwife turned up just as I was putting her to sleep. Which then meant, because the midwife wanted her to be naked, to be weighed, and she wanted to check her, it meant then it delayed her going to sleep, which made her really ratty, really irritable, and the knock-on effect for that night was that she just didn't want to settle at all. She was very, very irritable about the fact that her routine had been broken, or we think that's what it was. So it was like, got through the night, and it was like, right, let's try and get her back into how she likes to be. And the health visitor came the next day, and she'd been asleep for about half an hour, and then, because we wasn't aware of either that the health visitor was going to want to see her naked and all of that, get her undressed to weigh again, because it had been done the day before. Yeah, so the health visitor came, she'd been asleep for half an hour, and I had to wake her up. So again, the routine was messed with. She just doesn't seem to like when the routine is played around with, which makes things a lot more difficult later in the day. That said, everything's fine. We haven't got to see anyone now. We shouldn't have any more visits from midwives, and the health visitor won't be coming now for quite a few more weeks. I should just add in, actually, one of the things that did come out of the health visitor visit was that, bless her little heart, she's got a bit of bit of thrush in her mouth, which was heartbreaking. Apparently it's very, very common, happens to lots of babies. So she has been given some medicine. I can't, off the top of my head, I'm useless at remembering names of medicine, but so we have to give her that 4 times a day, and it's basically a very, very thick liquid that will help sort out her mouth. Obviously, we think part of her irritability when she's not sleeping as much at night is due to the fact that now we know that she's got a thrush in her mouth. It was a bit odd. I don't know if midwives look for thrush. Again, if you know, pop a comment in. But they did none of that, like the 3 visits, nobody picked up on it. It was only when the health visitor came that got picked up on. And that is a challenge, giving her that medicine. Wow. She doesn't react well to it. Thankfully, it's very short-lived when we do it, but she does cry scream her little lungs out. There are no actual tears yet, but she really doesn't like having it, even though we know it's for her own good. That's not the most fun job as a dad, is to start giving your babies medicine and prescriptions and stuff like that. But again, it's one of those things, just going to have to suck it up, deal with it, so that she feels better. So she's got to have that for a week, and she does seem to be getting better each time, and as a result she's feeding a bit better. Not that she was feeding particularly badly anyway, but she just seems more content all the time rather than having little spurts of irritability. So yeah, but beyond that, the health visitor visit was absolutely fine. Generally speaking, we're really, really happy. Everything is going great. Of course, as her dad, or as her daddy, every day I look at her and I think, you just get more and more beautiful each day as she's filling into her own features and she's becoming her own little character. We're starting to notice little personality traits. We get what we're calling windy grins, because obviously they don't really, apparently they don't really smile until about 5 weeks. I'm going to argue that and just say, well, I think she's smiling. I get it, quite often it's just wind, but sometimes it's not wind. Sometimes she's just laying there and you tickle her little face and you just see this little beaming smile, and it just melts my heart every single time. I wake up in the morning, I can't wait to see her. I had my first experience of being away from her this week as well. Unfortunately, I had to attend a funeral this week, so it meant I was away from her for a few hours, which was my first time really being away, which was okay, although I did find myself like needing to check my phone constantly and like texting Mark and being, oh, is she alright? Everything okay? Is she still asleep? Which, by all accounts, she pretty much slept the entire time I was away and then decided to wake up when I got home. So, hey, it was fine. She didn't even know I was gone. Every day I look at her little face and filled with love, because she's beautiful. The only time I get stressed, I think, is when she screams. If she wakes up in the night before we notice, like obviously she is in our bedroom, but if she wakes up and it takes her a little while to get some attention, she just screams the flat down, and that hurts. I find that very hard to sort of, it's like, please stop crying, because I am doing everything I can. I know that's your only way of communicating. That I find a little bit tough, because it hurts my heart to hear her screaming like that, because it's like we're neglecting her. We're not, but it feels like in my heart that we're messing something up if she's screaming that badly. And it's not. It's just she wants her food and she wants it now. So just finally, I also, because obviously over the last couple of weeks we have been inundated with messages on social media, we've been gifts and cards and visits, and I just wanted to quickly, because just in case I haven't, I think I've managed to say thank you to absolutely everyone, but I just wanted to quickly say a massive thank you to everyone that has sent cards and messages and well wishes and all the gifts. I mean, we have got so much stuff that we've been sent, which is just amazing. She's going to have plenty, and it just makes me think that there is so much love in the world for her that it's overwhelmingly lovely, and I really appreciate it. So I just wanted to say a very big thank you to everybody that has been in touch and so on and so on, all that stuff. that pretty much wraps it up for this week. Tomorrow we're actually going to go and get her registered, which I'm so excited about, because then she'll officially have her name, and we get to see Lisa and again, which is always a delight. I can't wait. We're probably going to go out for dinner, I think. Yay! But yeah, and that pretty much wraps it up for the week. I did have some comments in last week's episode asking about a Q&A. I will be adding extra bits and pieces as we go along. I didn't want to jump in too quickly on a Q&A because I wanted people to get to know the channel a bit first, but I will look at doing that. I've also had someone suggest doing a tour of the nursery, because although we did it with Channel Mum a while back, it might be fun to do just an in-depth tour of the nursery. So I'm going to be looking at doing things like that and extra features. But by all means, if you do have any questions, just pop them down below. And if you have any suggestions of what you'd like to see from us with videos, again, pop them in the comments and I'll see what I can do. Like I say, that pretty much wraps it up. Like last week, I'm going to leave you with a few clips of little Sophie. Hopefully not quite as many of her just sleeping. She does seem to wake up a bit more now. So I'm going to pop some clips in at the end so you can see how she now looks at 2 weeks old. And until next time, bye-bye. See you soon. Thank you for tuning in.